The last few Call of Duty titles have been questionable in their quality, and if they really hit the scope of what a Call of Duty is. But with the most recent launch of Call of Duty World War II, I think they finally hit the mark of what they are supposed to be. What's up, guys? Danish here. I've decided I want to do a review on this game. It's been a little while since I've done like a full edited video, and I think this was a perfect chance for me to go ahead and get started. Call of Duty World War II. This is a COD game, of course. Everyone likes to hate it, but not this year. This year, everyone likes to love it. And this game, I'm telling you, this game is fantastic. It has been really great to play. Campaign, multiplayer, and zombies have all been fantastic, and I think I want to give an honest review on it, so there will be some positive and there will be some negative. But how I'm going to start that off is, of course, I'm going to start off with the campaign. I think that's a good place to start, and it's kind of the smallest section for most players when it comes to content. So starting off, the campaign is really fun, actually. It follows the Americans in the Western Front during their campaign, starting off with D-Day. All the footage here is not from any cutscenes. I'm just going to show you the first mission, starting off with D-Day. It's a very historical and very important battle that was taking place on the American side, and I think it's a great place to start a campaign and a great focus for the campaign is starting off here. So when it comes to the things that I do like about the campaign, I love the scope. I think it's an excellent theater to really keep an eye on. I did enjoy World at War's multi-theater kind of thing, following the Americans on both Americans and Russians, and the Americans in the Eastern theater, you know, facing Japan. I think this is an excellent way to do things, though, and I think it's a good way to, you know, really focus on a set of people and really tell their story, and I think they do a great job with that. The campaign, for the most part, is actually really action-packed, fantastic. I couldn't say anything negative about it. I think the ending is a little weak, and I think what they were trying to do was make you really invested in these characters, and then as the ending goes, you know, you're really following with the characters, and that's the ending's supposed to be really gratuitous. It's supposed to be great. I disagree a little bit. I think the ending's a little anticlimactic, but overall the campaign's fantastic. I do have a couple small issues that also extend to the campaign. There is some issues, or extended to the multiplayer, excuse me. There are some issues with the weapons and the way that they reload. It's not completely accurate. An example, you have things like the sniper rifles that have scopes on them. You can't feed a sniper rifle with a stripper clip when it has a scope on top of it. It's just not possible. That's a minor thing. That's the tiniest of pet peeves goes into what kind of reload you have and everything. Another issue that I had was that there's certain weapons that show up in the campaign on, this is technically the Western Front, that I'd imagine wouldn't be there in real life, or wouldn't have happened, or if it was so rare. I'm not totally sure. I didn't do a whole lot of research before I started this video, so I could be completely wrong. Let me know if I am. But there would be weapons like the PPSH-41, which is a Russian submachine gun that is showing up on the Western Front on D-Day, and other missions, of course, things like and actually in France, like in Paris and stuff, besides just the beaches. That's confusing to me. I'm not totally sure that they actually reclaimed weapons from the Eastern Front, transferred them, and then also created ammunitions for them, because I'm pretty sure they took a Tokarev round, not a 9mm Parabellum. I could be wrong. I didn't do any research before this, but as a person, as most people aren't going to do research to see if a PPSH is in the right place in a video game, I imagine most people were kind of confused. And there's a few weapons like that, things like the Type 100 and some other weapons that are just kind of mismatched for the theater and the scope of the game. Not that I'm saying that they shouldn't be in the game, because I think Russian weapons are fantastic and really fun to play with, like the SVT, the PPSH. I would love a Tokarev or something like that in the game. We're missing a few weapons. And that was actually another one of the complaints. We're missing quite a few random weapons that wouldn't make sense at first, but they should be there. The inclusion of the P06, though it is technically correct, it was replaced by the Germans in a later war by the P38. And it's nowhere to be seen in the game. I personally love the P38. I own one, and I think that it should have been in the game, or at least an add-on, which this review isn't going to cover microtransactions, because that hasn't quite come out yet. So, but anyways, the campaign is great. I like the characters. I think it's very fun. The health system is very unique. Or I wouldn't say unique, but it's novel, right? It hasn't been in a COD game in like 10 years, so it's pretty good. And overall, I do enjoy the campaign. My little minor gripes are almost worthless overall to the campaign. I think it's great, and I think it's very fun. Next thing we're going to go into is multiplayer. Now, multiplayer has a little bit more going on with it. I think I'm more neutral towards it, but there are some really good things that I'm glad they added. The headquarters system is fantastic. Absolutely love it. It's great. It's good. It's just a fun thing. It's one of the biggest innovations that Call of Duty has ever put into a COD game. Not big changes have ever happened in the last like 6 or 7 years. It's been around the same thing for most COD games. Now, when it comes to balance, I think it's pretty good. I think there's a few tweaks here and there. Like the BAR is still really strong after the most recent round, the nerfs. But that's not too bad. I've been personally playing with a lot with the STG-44. It's just a solid weapon. And also the Panzerschreck, because I've been going for those explosive kills. Speaking of which, this is before microtransactions, but the supply drops have been pretty, I think, fair to earn. You keep an eye on your challenges, you do them, you get stuff. Have I gotten a lot of good stuff? I think I've gotten one really good thing, and that's it, which I'm fine with, of course, because, you know, you can't get good stuff all the time. But I think it's been pretty fair on how fast you earn them. I will say ranking up after the double XP ended, which this video is coming out like 2 weeks since launch, so we did pass that, which is like, it was like triple XP or whatever, but it's a little slow, but I think that's fine to keep the longevity. I just wish that there was some more supply drops to kind of go around, and I'm sure as we get microtransactions, that will fill that gap that I'm filling. Another thing with the multiplayer that I have a small issue with is that there's not a lot of maps. There's only 9 maps total in the regular multiplayer roundup, and then there's 3 of the war maps. That's not a whole lot, and I think hopefully that, you know, with the DLCs they'll be adding at least 3 maps, is what I imagine. So that's not too bad, but it is an issue for launch because we are kind of waiting. I think January is when we're getting our first DLCs rounds, and you know, really want that. But you know, hopefully they'll be adding in. I would love some free weapons. I know it's not going to happen with the microtransactions, considering the last few games that we've had. But I'm still hoping that we get more maps, more everything, more weapons, even if it's behind supply drops. It's not my ideal situation, but it is something to add. I would love to see more Japanese, Russian, even more American weapons. There's still a couple that weren't really added into this game that could be there, that weren't in major use, of course. Even German weapons, I think there's a couple that are missing that I would like to see. My final round of opinions is going to come onto the zombies, which this could be changed at a later date, but as of right now, I played a few matches. I'm really loving it. I think the zombies is probably one of the best iterations of zombies that's been out there, and that's hard to say because I love Treyarch, and I think Treyarch makes fantastic zombies. This gives them a run for their money. This is the kind of game mode that I've dreamed about. Everything that Treyarch won't touch, won't do, or won't do again, they're doing. First map, no problem. Really simple. Things like sharing points, changing out your perks when you want to. I mean, there's just a ton of things that they do. Oh, an Easter egg. The Easter egg is guided for the casual one. How could you say no to that? As someone who wants to get more of the story, but it not be such a random thing. I know that's Treyarch's thing going, you know, the Easter egg is random, and it's just different things here and there. Like you shoot a rock, you do this, you do that. I'm really glad they have taken a different approach with the zombies, and it's scary. It's very scary, very themed. It is gritty. It is frightening. I mean, the first time I played this, I was afraid. I think it's a good way to really tell the story. You got a good background with World War II. You have the idea of zombies, which is always fun. And then you have a good storyline that you're actually telling to the people through a guided Easter egg. Now, of course, there's a hardcore Easter egg, which I think is excellent for people who want that kind of Treyarch-y Easter egg. You have to find the steps. There's no help. It's all kind of random, kind of not. I do like that the casual kind of guides you on how to understand the hardcore Easter egg, which is good. I think that's a good transition there. I think a lot of the systems that they've improved on are fantastic. Again, like I was saying, sharing points, that's crucial. That's a big thing. I really do enjoy that. I think being able to change out your perks at any given... I mean, you have to rotate them, of course, but I think being able to change them is a huge, huge change that Treyarch just doesn't allow. I think everything Treyarch won't touch, this, Sledgehammer will touch. They will make those changes. It's for the community. Everything they've done feels like a community choice. It's like, hey, we want this. We're going to give it to you. Simple as that. My issues with zombies, I think the creative class system is great, but there's a few issues with the perks not being that great. If you're looking into all the specs and all the mods and things, there's a lot that are just not worth it. Unfortunately, that's a horrible thing to say. I like variety, but it has to be good variety, because if you're going to give me 20 things to pick from, but only 4 of them are worth it, then it's not really variety now, is it? I need a lot of things that do a lot of good things. I think what they should do is they should consolidate their mods, and like infuse a couple of them together, so it makes it a little bit more of a punch. So like instead of breaking them up so much, make a few of the mods that affect like your specialist abilities fuse together, so it makes them more competitive with some of the universal mods. Things like extra ammo, triple weapons, more grenades, more damage by crouching and being in prone. That one's, I think it's probably underrated, honestly, when it comes to damages. It's we were doing a 2-box challenge with it, and though I wasn't using it all the time, it is a big damage difference when you think about it. When you see the gameplay, that video will come out at another time. But overall, zombies is something that I'm really excited for. I think I can't give a full opinion, and I actually want to do a separate video comparing all the pieces to it, compared to Treyarch, and seeing which one I overall enjoy the most. I think it's a really good tie-up right now, because everything that Treyarch won't touch, they'll touch, but everything they're not doing quite right, Treyarch does a little bit better. Like, gunplay is good, it's a COD game, everything's great. But overall, I think this COD, COD World War II, fantastic. I think COD is finally back. People aren't going to be hating on it as much. This game really hits on the roots. Things like the classic, you can't regenerate health in the campaign. The multiplayer is fun, good progression, things to go for. Classic weapons. I mean, who doesn't love the Thompson, the PPSH-41, the STG-44, the M1 Garand, one of the most iconic rifles. I mean, there's just so many things that you have to love about this particular setting for a COD game. And I think campaign's great, multiplayer's great, has its problems like anything else. And the zombies, I think it's a tie right now. Honestly, I think it's a good tie. It's fun and it's great. There's a few things they can tweak, but hopefully, as we get more DLCs, we'll be able to give a full opinion. Now, of course, whenever the microtransactions come out on the 21st, I believe, looking at my calendar, it's the 21st. I will do a video describing how I feel about it. I will buy some just to see, and I think I'll buy an amount that people would normally buy, like $20 amount, whatever that gets you. I'm sure it's probably like 5 crates, if at the most. And I would like to do a video on the microtransactions, and I'll also be touching up on comparing zombies. Now, the multiplayer, I would like to do some videos on some weapons that I don't think get enough love, and I think you'll see more from that. But overall, I'm going to give COD World War II, if it's at a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 10, I would give it an 8 or a 9. It is really solid. Is it the best game I've ever played? No. Is it the best COD I've ever played? Now, that is something for a debate, because I think this game is great, and depending on how the DLC season goes, I might say it is. As of right now, it's one of the better ones. The last few years, we've got a lot of those more advanced movement ones, not as great. Even Black Ops 3 wasn't really titillating what I was wanting, what I expect out of a Treyarch game, and I think that this is kind of going back to where we want to be with a COD game, where we want to go and what we want to see. And I'm hoping in the future they will keep this trend of games that we want to play in interesting settings that aren't too advanced to stray away from COD's origins. But I think that's going to do it for review. 9 out of 10. I think it definitely deserves that, and I hope as the game continues, I'll be able to either improve that score or give it more depth with some more videos to kind of explain how I feel about certain things. Anyway, if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. Danish out.